Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. I'm going to run you guys through how to make some glitch effects using some real-time shaders within MXR PRO, and also how to get some video input going from Resolume so that we can make the textures and the emissive lighting a lot more dynamic and externally driven, so that you guys can have a lot of fun with, really just like bringing in lots of different effects queued per a show. All right, so without further ado, let's dive in. One thing I want to show you guys is I've got Resolume here running with a really cool loop for a friend of mine, Dev Ryan. So there's a couple of things that you guys have probably seen on Instagram that we want to show you guys how we built it. All right, so if you go over here to the spout icon in the right hand corner, you'll see that Resolume is outputting a texture sharing through spout. And that will, if that's turned on, then you will automatically see this pop up in Arena. All right, so let's build a scene real quick, and then I'm going to show you how to build some shaders. But first off, let's just get some objects that we're going to put these shaders onto. So I'm going to go over here to 3D objects and stages, and I'm going to double click on these circular turntable assets. By double clicking them, it automatically pastes them into the scene at 0, 0, 0. And I just hit Control G to hide the grid, and we're just going to clean up our scene a little bit. And it's awfully dark, so I'm going to turn this to daytime for now, just so that it's lit. And we'll do some custom lighting in a minute. But now we've got this scene already pasted in with our circular stage going. All right, so let's go to the shader icon in the right-hand corner and pixel mapping. I'm going to double click on that. And I'm going to select this base mat 16:9 and drag that into our material editor. All right, so this is a really powerful advanced shader, so it's got lots and lots of options. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop the Arena's Resolume output into our diffuse texture. And I'm also going to do it on emissive texture. And what that means is it's only going to make the brightness from the areas that are colorful and light as emissive. I'm going to scroll up here, and I'm going to turn on the emissive multiplier to 1. I'm just going to quickly drag and drop this into our background. Cool. All right, it's got us going pretty quick. One thing you'll notice is that it's got some tiling going on. And I think I prefer for it to not tile. So it looks like we've got about like 1.5 maybe of repeating on this tiling. So let's do 0.5. And that seems like a cut in half, so it's reasonably scaled. Probably need to go up to like 1.55 just in case. And if you notice, our center point is below the ground level, and so we'll go into V and the V offset, and I'll move that up like 0.1, 0.2, and we want to get this center point more or less in the middle of our background. It's a little bit off. Left and right, but up and down it's starting to look pretty good. Cool. We could probably double this so that we get a little bit more of our background coming through, but for now I think just to keep it simple, we'll keep it like that. Our U offset is at 1, so we could go to 0 and it'd be the exact same thing. So I'm going to do 0.1, and that's moved it too far to the left, so let's do 0.05. I think that's still a little bit to the left, so let's just keep dialing it down until we feel like that's in our center point. All right, that feels mostly centered. All right, we've also got this little turntable here, the circular thing, but for that one I don't want to use the 16:9 preset, so I'm going to grab the square preset and drag that into our material editor. I'm going to drag and drop that here. We've got this colored bar setup, so you can start to dial things in. So let's just use that real quick to get this tiling repeating pattern dialed in. So I'm going to set that to 0, and I'm going to double the tiling to 2. Let's make that a lot smaller. And then over here on the U, that's how much is scaling it left and right, but for the offset, let's do 0.5, 0.25. We're just going to keep doing this until we get our texture centered. All right. 0.5 again, 0.25. I feel like it needs to go up. 0.75. Looks like we've repeated again, so maybe now we'll go back to 0.5. And then we'll just keep changing this U offset. Let's see if we can get this dialed in. All right. starting to see it center. Just got a little bit more playing around to get this really dialed in. I'm gonna go on the other side and start counting down. Man, I'm all over the place right now, so it's being a little tricky to get it dialed in, so hopefully it's a little bit easier for you guys. Alright, I can see the MXR logo coming into view now. Alright, let's go for 8.5. That's going to be really close, and then now we can move that down. So the UV mapping is always a pain in the ass for me, so hopefully it's a little bit easier for you guys. But for me, it's a lot of trial and error. Alright, so almost got that dialed in. Alright, that's close enough. Maybe we'll go 2. Alright, so now we've got this centered in our scene. It's rotated 9 degrees. So I'm actually going to rotate this turntable 9 degrees, but we could, so we can do that here, or we can do that within the shader itself in the rotation or angle right here. So we can do 9 degrees. Well, actually that messes up because it's a 16:9 image. We'll go ahead and rotate the turntable instead. Cool. Looks like it's got it skewed a little bit, so I think the square, the UV mapping on this object must not be totally square. So let's see if we can change our tiling over here on the U. Let's do 0.5, and then slide it over to the left again. All right, that looks a little less skewed. All right, so that's probably painful to watch. Hopefully you guys will just skip past this. All right, so now that we've got that dialed in, we're gonna go and grab our spout texture again. We're gonna drag and drop that into diffuse and emissive. And we'll go over here. We need to emissive multiplier turned up, and then enable our emissive texture. That's gonna help with the blacks. We'll do that for the 16:9 as well. All right, if you can look, you can start to see a little bit of this light reflecting off of the floor surface, which I think is a very, very nice effect. One of the things I want to do though is relight the scene. So let's go ahead and turn off our sky, and then let's drag and drop a skylight into the scene, and then go into details for that skylight and select a cube map. So this is like what's going to be driving the relighting of the scene, and then go over to our post-processing and exposure and set this to manual. When it's on auto exposure, it's going to adjust the brightness up and down to try to like read the scene so that it's basically like an auto exposure setting is exactly what it is. All right, so now we very quickly relit our scene, and this is so what we're looking at. We've got this nice like scratchy modeled surface, which I think is pretty cool. All right, so that's just setting up the background. Now what I want to walk you guys through is creating this sort of holographic focal point within the center. So to do that, I'm going to go to our content browser and 3D objects again, and let's do large plane. And the large plane has a lot of tessellation going on. So if we scale this down to like 0.1 and 0.1, we now have this flat surface. It doesn't have 3 dimensions, it's just 2-dimensional. Scale that this way, and you know what, I think we should do like 0.15, make it a little bit more 16:9 as far as like an aspect ratio. All right, so then let's go back to our material editor. We're going to grab a glitch shader, so we'll find that under panners, and then this glitch shader looks like this, and just by default it's moving, and so that's the panning aspect. So if I drag and drop this in here, and then again copy it into here, one thing that this thing has going on is it'll do displacement, and so what it's doing is changing the height on this object, so that as the colors change, and I believe it's set to the blue channel, it's also changing the up and down position of the polygons on this plane. So if I rotate this object to be a little bit more parallel to the ground, then it's going to push the polygons up relative to the z-axis. All right, so we got our plane, and we're really going to be modifying this per the shader. So again, under the base color and the texture, let's grab our spout input. And what it's going to do is it's only grabbing the brightness for the texture. And so areas that are black are not going to be pushed up. So if I go over here, now you can see this like grid pattern. That's picking up the grid pattern from the Resolume texture. And I really think this is all based on the blue. So now you can really see this circular pattern repeated up here within this 3D plane shader texture. Cool. All right, so if we look over here at the base color offset, let's dial that up, and we'll get more of the colors coming through. And one of the things that I think will really complete this is to make this audio reactive. And so I'm going to turn on some music for a second so you guys can hear it. All right, so then I'm going to go over to our node panel. I'm going to select master mix for 1 and 2. So now nodes 1, 2, and 3 are set to audio input. And pause the music while I do this. All right, so I'm going to turn off the different frequencies for each one of these, so we're only getting like midtones for 2, and then we're only getting high and low for 1 and 3. All right, so now if I turn the music on and skip to a part with more going on, you can now see the audio analysis is turned on in nodes 1, 2, and 3. Cool. I'm going to pause that again. And so for our color offset, let's set this to 0, and then I'm going to grab the base, and I'm going to connect that up to node 1, and then I'm going to multiply it by, let's say, 2, and really dial that up. And then I'm going to turn the audio back on. Nice, so we got a little strobing action. And I think we'll do that also for our background shader. So for emissive multiplier, let's set that to 0, and then dial that up as well and turn the music back on. So now the brightness is coming from the audio analysis on the base, and then we can have a little bit of fun with that where we get a little bit of a strobing effect and do that on the midtones for the emissive texture. And so that's going to make some areas bright and some areas not bright depending on. So that's going to kind of flatten the image out depending on how much of the midtones are coming through. And we can create like a 0.5 so that it never goes fully bright. And we'll do something similar on our center square texture, but for that one, let's do the highs. So let's do the treble emissive multiplier. We'll set that to 0 and then dial that up. We might multiply that by 2 also. Let's see how that looks. We'll dial it down a little bit. Cool. I'm going to pull out a little bit. Nice. We got our Resolume texture plane. I'm going to hide the UI by hitting Control D. Cool. And then I'm going to hide the widgets by hitting Control W for widget. And so now we got it like a nice clean preview. I think one of the things we might do is go into our texture or shaders, and maybe we'll grab like a shiny background material. And then finally, let's drop in a camera. I'm going to pause this music for now. And then we'll set our camera to 0, 0, 0, so it's centered in the scene. Let's raise it up to maybe 100, 200, and then let's set to orbit and zoom out like 200, maybe like 500. All right, that's looking decent. And we'll change the speed, which is really duration, to like 10. And I'm going to activate the camera, which means we're seeing what the camera's seeing. And I will turn on loop and press play. And then I'm going to press play the music. Control D to hide the UI. Alright, there you go. We got a very, very fast run through. Sorry it took so long getting the UVs dialed in on that center thing. I think one of the other things I did was just to use the basic vertical up and down animation on this ramp or the turntable. So I'm going to go to location, open that up, and drag and drop node 4 onto the z-axis. Now we got this thing racing up. We'll do like -50, so it's a little bit lower down, and we'll cut that in half. This gives us a little bit more depth to the scene, so that there's a little more verticality. And I'll hide our UI again. For a little bit of an advanced effects on our animation, one thing we can do is go into the z-axis, but then attach that to our base, and then multiply a little bit. And we should get a little, every time the bass kicks, we should get a little bobble. Alright, so now every now and then when the bass kicks, we'll just get a little vibration to the camera. That just, I think, makes things a little bit more dynamic. And then we can do something similar with the camera field of view. So let's say every time the treble really hits, and I'll zoom out a little bit. Showing you the effect, but we'll keep it a little more simple. Alright. Hiding the UI, we'll just let that spin. And just to let you guys see a little bit more of the what's going on with the Resolume input, I'll try swapping out a few different, I'll keep some different clips. And I think also, just to make it a little bit more glitchy, I'm going to turn on the red wave, which is the red channel. It's going to be moving left to right based on the panner. So we'll do like 0.5. Now you can see the pinkish kind of reds cycling through, and for green we'll do like 0.05, just so there's a little more variation in that color. Alright, yeah, let's just play some different clips.
Je pense comme toi, toi t'espères. Je le fais pas pour que ça te plaise. Trouve-moi loin dans l'espace. S, baisse, tourne en boucle dans ma tête. Je le dis pas pour que ça te plaise.
Alright, cool, you guys. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Check back in, do all the usual like and subscribe, and we'll check you guys out later. Again, this is using 2 new features in MXR PRO, so you won't be able to do this with the base VJ version of MXR. The audio, the spout input from Resolume is a MXR PRO feature, and this shader is part of a new effects package and shader package that's new within MXR PRO. We'll be releasing that in the VJ version in our 2026 update that should drop a little bit before the new year, around Christmas time. So you'll be able to do these more advanced shader effects via MXR PRO and in MXR VJ Edition 2026. All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.